Now for the main event. The reason why you'd probably be dead by lunchtime. You've never killed another human being before. Never. Whoa. Well, there's a good chance your life is about to change. Welcome to part 2 of You Wouldn't Last a Day in the Stone Age. We told you yesterday that your modern brain and pampered lifestyle are liabilities, not assets. Well, today they're liabilities too. Listen, we're all good people here. We love puppies and NPR and organic kale smoothies. But if we really want to survive in the Stone Age, we need to face a harsh reality. Human beings weren't always civilized. There were once hunters and killers. Imagine you're a mammoth, minding your woolly mammoth day, eating delicious shrubs, and suddenly a bunch of hairless apes start poking at you with sharp wooden sticks. Are you gonna stand there and be like, hello there, little man. May I inquire as to the nature of your shrub stealing shenanigans? No, you're gonna trample those primates and steal their sweet baby shrubs right back. You're gonna do whatever it takes to survive. So if you made it past the first 24 hours without being eaten by lions or dying of thirst, chances are you're going to be fighting tooth and nail for your life today too. And if you haven't killed another human being before, well, let's just say you're at a serious disadvantage. You might be thinking, whoa, I'm not violent and I don't want to hurt anyone. Okay, but you're playing the wrong game then. This isn't Candy Crush. This is life or death. This is primeval warfare. To survive here, you have to be willing to use violence to take another person's life. Are you ready to do that? I'm guessing not. Well, if you made it past the watering hole and the saber-toothed tigers, you're about to get ganked by someone with way better stats than yours. Let's look at 5 ways you'd lose a fight to a caveman and why it matters. No, 1, you don't know how to fight back. Caveman V is UFC champ. Well, that's easy, right? Just throw a few punches, kick him in the face, and boom, bedtime story over. Well, unless you've trained your whole life of mixed martial arts, you probably wouldn't fare so well. C. Fighting has changed a lot since the dawn of man. Back then, it was hand-to-hand combat, teeth and nails, maybe a club or a sharpened rock. Today, it's a full-on performance art. Fighters train for years, hone their body and learn techniques from around the world. They study their opponents, develop game plans, exploit weaknesses, all with highly evolved strategies. But in a fight with a caveman, all that strategy goes out the window. Techniques become irrelevant because they're only effective in a certain context. Remember, you haven't slept, eaten, or hydrated. In other words, you're running on fumes. And in that state, you can't perform at your peak. Plus, if you rely on technique and forget the primal stuff, your nose will be broken faster than you can say submission hold. Don't believe me? Ask any MMA fighter how a raw, untrained brawler with anger issues might fare against them. We're not saying that you need to train for the Olympics, but a little street fighting practice won't hurt. It'll teach you how to fight dirty, how to control an opponent, and how to use your body weight to your advantage. It'll also teach you something else very important. Fighting doesn't need to be fair. It's not a chess match where both sides play by a set of rules. Sometimes it's a free-for-all where anything goes. And if you don't realize that, you're already behind. Number 2, you don't have their endurance. Now, you might be fit. Maybe you do CrossFit or spin classes or run marathons. But let me tell you a secret. Cavemen were athletes. They didn't lift cars, but they did chase down prey, climb trees, crawl through bushes, and throw spears. They were agile and fast. So whether you're fighting for your life or trying to hunt for food, you're gonna need stamina. Here's a tip: start running long distance, climbing trees and swimming laps. If you make it to the Stone Age, you're gonna need those muscles. Number 3, you haven't killed before. As we said earlier, you'd be fighting tooth and nail for survival. That means killing other people, taking their meat, stealing their women. Oh wait, you won't do that. Well, guess what? Neither will your fellow humans in the Stone Age. If you haven't killed before, you'll be killed. Simple as that. It's not about strength, skill, or stamina. It's about something much more primal. When 2 humans go toe-to-toe, there's a psychological component that's impossible to ignore. Experience counts for everything. It's the difference between watching a tutorial and doing the surgery yourself. And if you haven't faced the harsh realities of bare-knuckle brawling, you're doomed. The killer instinct, the cold-blooded focus, the ability to stare down an opponent and take them out without hesitation. That's the kind of experience you can't fake. Your fear will betray you long before your muscles do. You don't know their weaknesses. You could probably take a few cavemen one by one, but put them all together and you're dead meat. The same goes for any animal. When they're alone, you might have a chance. But when they're in a group, their collective strengths become their weakness. Sure, you could take on a pride of lions, but why bother? Instead, pick off the cubs first. They're easier to kill and they'll grow up knowing their mama died protecting them. Or better yet, attack a lone wolf. He'll be easier to take on, and the rest of the pack will respect you for it. You see, you don't need to be stronger than your opponent. You just need to be smarter. Now, that's not to say that being strong won't help. After all, you're facing human beings. They're strong, smart, and resourceful. But if you aren't willing to fight dirty, you'll lose every time. Do you know what's considered dirty in a fight? Attacking someone's weak points, blinding them, knocking out their front teeth. Wait, you don't want to do that. Come on. These are desperate times. And if you can't win fairly, you're not going to win at all. The Stone Age wasn't a time for chivalrous knights. It was a time for opportunistic, cunning killers. And if you can't hack it, you're prey. Number 5. You're not used to the lifestyle. Let's face it. You're a modern human. You live in a modern world. The idea of waking up early, foraging for food, and fighting for your life sounds terrifying. And that's because it is. If you aren't used to that lifestyle, it'll kill you before any saber-toothed tiger does. You'll be picking berries, chopping wood, or starting fires all wrong. But it's not just physical labor, it's mental too. You have to be able to track animals, sense danger, predict weather patterns, and plan for the future. You have to be able to adapt to anything and everything. You have to be a human Swiss Army knife. And if you aren't, well, you're dead. The average caveman wasn't a warrior though. They were farmers. They grew crops, raised livestock, and hunted when necessary. It's hard work that requires strength, stamina, and know-how. You might be a couch potato now, but back then, you'd be digging ditches all day, and if you can't hack it, you're done. The psychological toll modern humans are pampered. We have creature comforts, vaccines, Netflix. It's a different world. When you grow up in a safe environment, it's hard to imagine living in constant danger. But that's what the Stone Age was like. It wasn't a playground, it was a battlefield. Every day was a struggle for survival. And if you couldn't handle that pressure, well, you're dead. It's not just about physical strength. It's mental too. You had to be able to endure loneliness, hunger, fatigue, and pain. And if you can't, you're done. You wouldn't last a day in the Stone Age, we get that. But here's the real lesson. We're not as invincible as we think we are. We're not as smart as we think we are. And we're not as strong as we think we are. The truth is, none of us would make it out alive. But hey, at least we'd try, right? How long do you think you would survive in the Stone Age? Comment your thoughts below. Then find out just how unprepared you really are. Welcome to Life Noggin. Your life right now is pretty comfortable. Probably. You have running water, electricity, fast food. Things are good, but it hasn't always been this way. There was a time in our past where things were very different. Humans have existed for about 300,000 years, and until about 3,000 years ago, we lived in what historians call the Stone Age. It was a time when humans used tools made of stone and other natural materials like wood and bone. Life wasn't easy. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and just ask these people. Haru Onoda, 30 years in the jungle. It's March 1974. Major Haru Onoda, Japanese army, has just arrived in the Philippine jungle. It's lush, it's hot, and it's his new home. Well, at least it will be until the end of World War II. Okay, this doesn't make sense. World War II ended in 1945. 3 decades have passed and this guy is just now getting to the jungle. And that's because Onoda never believed the war was over. In 1944, Onoda became separated from his unit. He hid in the jungle, evading the enemy and surviving on his own. And when he finally emerged from the jungle, he found that everything had changed. But he still had orders to complete his mission, no matter how long it took. So he did. He lived in the jungle for the next 30 years. Onoda survived by practicing guerrilla warfare tactics. He knew how to set traps and ambushes. He knew how to forage for food and collect rainwater. He knew the language of the jungle, and he never gave up. Onoda was eventually found by a Filipino soldier named Rigoberto Ranas. At first, Onoda didn't trust Ranas, but eventually he agreed to come out of the jungle. When Onoda emerged from the jungle, he was barefoot and shirtless. His hair and nails had grown long, and he looked like a man who had been untouched by modern society for decades. Onoda was interviewed about his experiences, and he said that he never felt like giving up. He said that he was a soldier, and it was his duty to obey his orders. Onoda died in 2014 at the age of 91. He was buried with full military honors. Let's take a moment to process that. A Japanese soldier spent 30 years in the jungle because he didn't believe the war was over. He lived off the land, evaded capture, and never gave up. And we're supposed to think that we could survive 24 hours in the Stone Age. Come on, Les Stroud, Survivorman. Now let's look at a more modern example. Les Stroud is a Canadian television host and survival expert. He is best known for his work on the Discovery Channel show Survivorman, where he spent several days alone in the wilderness with limited supplies. In one episode, Stroud spent 7 days alone in a remote forest in Ontario, Canada. He had no shelter, no food, and no water. All he had was the clothes on his back and a mortar. Stroud lost 25 pounds during his time in the wilderness. He drank rainwater and ate berries and small animals that he caught. He also built a fire and a shelter to protect himself from the elements. After 7 days, Stroud was found by a search and rescue team. He had survived, so yeah, humans can survive in the wilderness without the help of technology. But let's be real here. Les Stroud is a professional survivalist. He knows how to find food and water and build shelter. The average person would last more than a few hours without dying of dehydration or starvation or hypothermia or being eaten by bears. We're not weak, we're different. Okay, let's put aside the fact that even experts struggle to survive in the wilderness. What about the fact that humans have only been living in modern societies for a few thousand years? Our species has been around for 300,000 years. And for the vast majority of our existence, we lived in small groups of hunters. We were constantly on the move. We had to be able to find food and water and shelter. We had to be able to defend ourselves against predators. We had to be able to adapt to new environments. These are all skills that our ancestors developed over millions of years of natural selection. And these skills are still present in humans today, even though we don't often use them. Our brains are still capable of solving problems in creative ways. Our hands are still capable of building tools and shelters. Our bodies are still capable of enduring extreme conditions. We are survivors. Our ancestors survived in some of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. They survived ice ages and droughts and floods. They've survived attacks from other animals and from each other, and we've inherited their ability to survive. Let me repeat that. We are survivors. Where our ancestors had spears, we have software. Where they had instinct, we have insight. Where they had tradition, we have science. Modern humans are powerful. We build communities of 10 million. We store food for years. We detect disease before it spreads. We fly. That's strength. But it doesn't help you if you wake up in the wrong era. You might be thinking you're weak. You might be feeling powerless. But remember, you're not weak. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. If you had been born 10,000 years ago, you would have been a valuable member of your community. Your brain would have been an asset. Your hands would have been strong. Your will would have been tested. You would have been part of something bigger than yourself. You would have been a survivor. What the Stone Age still teaches us. The Stone Age is long gone, but its lessons are still relevant today. Here are a few things that we can learn from our ancestors. Survival requires both instinct and intelligence. Our ancestors were able to survive in some of the most inhospitable environments on Earth, because they had both the instinct to find food and water and the intelligence to build tools and shelters. Community is non-negotiable. Humans are social creatures. We need other humans to survive. Our ancestors lived in small groups of hunter-gatherers, and they relied on each other for help. Nature is not your friend, but it's not your enemy either. We are part of nature. We need nature to survive, but nature can be harsh and unforgiving. Our ancestors learned to respect nature and to live in harmony with it. Comfort is a fragile illusion. Our ancestors never had it easy. They were constantly struggling to survive. Comfort is a rare and precious commodity. Most of the world's population still struggles to meet their basic needs for food, water, and shelter. And even in developed countries, comfort can be taken away in an instant. You are not above nature, you're in it. Sometimes, you're prey. Final reflection. Why does this still matter today? If you grew up in the Western world, you were probably taught that human progress is inevitable. You probably believe that the world is getting better, that technology is improving our lives, and that we are on the path to greatness. But what if this isn't true? What if the world is actually getting worse? You probably think that you'll never have to worry about things like food or water or shelter. You probably think that you will never have to worry about protecting yourself from predators or defending yourself against other humans. But what if you're wrong? What if you live through a natural disaster or a pandemic or an economic collapse? What then? The world is a dangerous place. And no matter how much technology advances, it will always be dangerous. Our ancestors were able to survive in some of the most inhospitable environments on Earth. They were able to survive ice ages and droughts and floods. They were able to survive attacks from other animals and from each other, and we've inherited their ability to survive. Every now and then the power goes out. The system breaks. The safety net tears. And when it does, what's left is you. Your brain, your hands, your will. You can't control where you were born, but you can choose to stop being helpless. Learn, prepare, adapt, not to go back to the Stone Age, but to survive any future. Now watch. The real reason human brains are so big. Or check out life before electricity. How did they do it?